Hi everyone, I'm Stu.
I'm Sarah, and welcome back to the 350 Bird Challenge.
In this episode, we're continuing in Arizona, starting in Flagstaff, down to Phoenix, birding along the way, and we'll also do some stops actually in Phoenix again too. Okay Sarah, tell the viewers about our first stop.
So we are in Oak Creek Canyon, and we are stopped at just outside of Cave Springs Campground.
We actually stopped here on the way up to Flagstaff in a previous video, but we didn't film it because it was raining. We didn't really stay too long. We're going to spend a bit more time here this time.
Yet more gorgeous scenery on the trails outside the Cave Springs Campground. We left Flagstaff in our last video, and we're going to be passing through the red rock of Sedona. But before we do that, the road leading to Cave Springs Campground has a small meadow area beside Oak Creek. We came here on our way up, but we got rained off. Sarah believed that this location held enough promise for us to give it another go, especially now that we had glorious weather. We took a look near the creek. A few birds in the trees here. This warbling vireo can barely keep still. And there were a pair of spotted towies being pretty noisy. Watch this summer tanager. You can see him raise and lower his crown in agitation or excitement. We repeatedly circled around the trails not far from the creek. Sarah was definitely right to have us revisit this location. We came across this painted redstart lifer. To begin with, it wouldn't pop out from behind the young leaf cover, but better looks once it began frantically hunting insects.
We were just debating whether we should carry on to the next stop or stay here a little bit longer. Painted redstart shows up out of nowhere.
Hang on a minute, that's a bird on my top 10. Here we go, painted redstart, let's cross it out. I'm now level with Sarah because we have 2 species each. Wow, the lifers just keep coming thick and fast. Here's a pair of Grace's warblers squabbling in this tree. This is one small warbler species. It enjoys feeding high in pine trees here in the southwest. Wow, a real rush of birds this morning.
Okay, so we're inside a huge canyon. The cliffs are over this way, and at the foot of the rock face, there's a creek flowing through, Oak Creek, and good habitat for chats. And we keep hearing yellow-breasted chat. That is a huge nemesis bird. It doesn't show up in Ontario too often where we're from, a bit more common around here, but very skunky bird. We've chased it a couple of times and have spent much longer at this stop than we initially intended to. Still trying to find it. We hear it, then it goes quiet for a while. Kind of caught a glimpse of it, but not enough to kind of satisfy me to say, oh, I've got it. So we're going to keep trying.
We spent ages circling around the creek looking for it. It would call repeatedly, but hide in the brush. This is the best views we got. It's a lifer. We're counting it, but we'd love to get better views of this bird again sometime in the future. Before we go, we got perfect views of the spotted towie. This one is worthy of a photo, I think. Check out that ember red coloured eye. Such bold, dramatic plumage on this towie. Often found rummaging in the undergrowth, this one has taken a moment to pose on the branch, probably wondering what all the commotion is on this very birdy morning.
Really dodgy views of that yellow-breasted chat, but it counts. You can kind of make out what it is. It's a lifer, we're going to count it as such, so I'm pleased to get it, but I'd love to see it out in the open sometime. Then I can finally say it's not a nemesis anymore, I reckon. Time for us to move on to our next stop. Stay tuned, back in a sec.
We entered Sedona for our second time on this trip. Its impressive red sandstone canyon walls as a backdrop to the tourist hotspot city, but it's just outside the city where Sedona's landscape really stretches its legs. Towering rock formations, sagebrush valleys, and winding roads. Every turn reveals another painterly view, layers of geography stacked like pages in a storybook, scorched red by the sun and time itself. Our plan was to visit the Teacup and Sugarloaf trailheads, which had yet more beautiful scenery, but unfortunately, as you may be able to hear in the background, there was a noisy landscaper, making it nearly impossible for us to film today.
Well, we've come to the relative quiet of the car to say that we are now researching a different spot to try, but in the meantime we're going to continue driving south through Sedona towards Phoenix. Stay tuned, we'll find somewhere else to stay.
Back behind the wheel with Sedona in the rear view mirror, Sarah found a potential spot for us. It took us along our first unpaved road of the trip. They get much worse than this though, later in the series.
Alright folks, for our last quick stop of the day, Sarah, where have we come to?
We're at Montezuma Well picnic area.
It's a little bit hard and we have a hotel to get to, so although there's a short trail here, we're just going to have a quick look in there and otherwise chill out in the shade of the picnic area. Bird reports here, Sarah?
So there's been reports of a number of vireos we don't have, such as cassins and bells. There's also been reports of bridled titmice and black-headed grosbeak.
We had a quick look along the trail, but most of our sightings were actually near to the picnic benches near the parking lot. Pretty nice views of another summer tanager looking around quizzically.
We were just sat in the picnic area and a couple of other birders got talking to us, actually gave us some tips for Portal, which we'll be visiting in a future video. But as we were talking, bridled titmouse, what a cute bird that is.
With bold black and white markings and a jaunty-looking crest, this small, curious and always-on-the-move titmouse flits through oak and juniper woodlands. This titmouse has a pretty limited range, the so-called Sky Islands of Arizona and New Mexico, as well as south of the border in Mexico. It's the most southerly ranging titmouse family member in North America, along with the Mexican chickadee.
Okay guys, that's all we have time for this part of the video. Tomorrow we'll be in Phoenix and we'll do some filming around there, some of the hotspots that perhaps we didn't get the most out of earlier in this series of Arizona videos. So what's the riparian place we're going to, Sarah?
The riparian preserve at the Gilbert Water Ranch.
That one we're looking forward to. It was a bit hot when we went there last time, so stay tuned to this video. We'll be back after the break. Good morning everyone and welcome back to Phoenix. Sarah, what's this location?
We're at the Riparian Preserve at Gilbert Water Ranch.
We did visit here in a previous video, but it was in the middle of the day and quite busy. We're here early today, so we're hoping for some more success. And the other thing to tell you about is we were checked in by a very special member of staff at our hotel last night. We saw a roadrunner. That's a new bird for our list for the year. Quite funny because a lot of people that you talk to who aren't from the area, some of our birding friends, and it's happened to us before in California too, you look at everywhere for a roadrunner and then one turns up at the hotel and that's where you end up getting it. Okay, let's carry on with our morning here and see if we can find some birds. We're going to maybe focus first of all on some of the waterfowl and waders, that kind of thing, because it's early in the morning.
We began by searching for waders and waterfowl. Check out this amazing American avocet. Its elegant upturned bill sweeps rhythmically through the shallows, a feeding technique known as scything. That striking black and white pattern and the cinnamon-toned head give it a clean, understated beauty, especially up close like this. Even when it has an itch that needs scratching. From scything avocets to stalking stilts, the black-necked stilt steps delicately through the shallows on impossibly long legs, picking prey from the surface with perfect precision, grace and balance in motion. And now onto a black-crowned night heron that has mastered the art of doing absolutely nothing. Just kidding, a bird that prefers patience over panache, less balanced ballerina, more ambush artist. Some very pleasing golden morning light, while long-billed dowitchers also feed in the shallow waters of the preserve. Kind of hypnotic how they plunge their bills and heads up and down. The movement is often likened to that of a sewing machine. Their bills are sensitive enough to pick out small invertebrates in the muddy lake bed. Remember that somewhat uncommon to the area western grebe from episode 1? Well, it's still here, heads up this time.
Okay guys, we've spent some time looking out over the various ponds for some waterfowl. Got nice views of a Wilson's phalarope, which seems to be the local celebrity at the moment. Quite a few different people with cameras looking out for that. Got slightly better views than we did in a previous video, still a little bit distant, but cool bird to see. I think we're going to start focusing on the perching birds next.
Join us shortly as we start to look up into the trees. Verdins were probably the most common birds we saw on the whole trip, along with plentiful housefinch. We started to hit the perching bird jackpot in a bush area surrounded by a group of trees, black-headed grosbeak. The one previous time we've seen this bird, it was super high up, so this was great to see, even with this one having a bit of a mucky beak. A few sparrows around this morning. This is a chipping sparrow, but we also saw Bewicks, which escaped the gaze of my camera.
Guys, I'm grumpy. Sarah just saw Townsend's warbler. I didn't see it, let alone get the camera on it, but it's a warbler that I really wanted to see. Gonna take a time out, have a look around, maybe come back to this spot in a second, because it stopped calling. We think it might have moved on. Seems to be one particular bush that a lot of the birds seem to be hanging out in. We're gonna have another look in a minute.
We wandered around a little more, but that magical bush area from before was definitely the most active area. We decided to loop back to it, spotting this hermit thrush on the way. Minutes later, back at the bush where everything seemed to be happening. And look, peeking out. Is that who I hope it is? Come on out. Gorgeous Townsend's warbler. Love it.
Well, I have to admit, I probably got a bit emotional there. Finally, bit of relief at seeing the Townsend's warbler. In the east of the continent, kind of looking at birds that are in the west, Townsend's warbler fell onto my radar as one of the things I really wanted to see here. Sarah, what did you think of that?
Really handsome, nice black and yellow contrast in the face.
Hang on, top 10 bird alert time. This is on my list, so let's cross it off. I've got 3 on my list now, Sarah has 2.
I think we're going to have a look now for another common bird that can be seen here now that it's warmed up a little bit. We think neotropic cormorants might be out drying off their wings. That'll be a new bird for the year.
We began searching the ponds and closely checking any cormorants that we saw. It didn't take long. Look at the lower cormorant. When it turns its head towards us a little, you can see the white triangular shape near the start of the bill, a clear field marking for neotropic cormorant. New bird. Here's a few more too for good measure. The one on the left has the clearest marking of the 3 birds in the centre of this shot. Let's try a new location that Sarah thinks we should give a shot.
Okay guys, we've driven about 20 miles up the road. Sarah, did you want to tell the viewers about the name of this place and what's been seen here?
So we're at Veterans Oasis Park in the Chandler area of Phoenix. So a few sightings here that are of interest to us. Most importantly, probably the hermit warbler and the McGilvery's warbler, but also some of the what we like to call water hens, like the common gallinule and sora.
This place wasn't necessarily on our radar until last night. Sarah was doing a bit of research over dinner and it showed up with these interesting sightings. Probably our last stop in Phoenix, but we'll give it a try. Interesting birds ahead, hopefully.
Veterans Oasis Park consists of 5 basins, naturalised water bodies, and a more manicured city lake dubbed Veterans Oasis Lake. And the lake is where we began our search. There were quite a few pied-billed grebes on the water this morning, including a few young ones hanging out, learning the ropes of grebe life in a city park, diving practice, sibling squabbles, and the occasionally confused peck at a floating leaf, that kind of thing. Speaking of young, this is an American coot, still in that slightly awkward phase where their charm hasn't quite caught up with that hairy scarecrow-looking plumage. What they lack in elegance, they make up for with, I don't know, enthusiasm? flyby of a black hawk over the lake as we continued to explore for any new birds. Oh, speaking of new birds, here's one, common gallinule, scavenging around the other side of the lake. Hiding in the undergrowth a little until I got a better shot of it. Now check out this character, a crested duck, a variety of domestic mallard, looks like it's just stepped out of a salon with an 80s mullet. Most of the other ponds were dried up, so we began checking the trails. Nice looks at a curve-billed thrasher on high alert. Its bill agape here, an effective way of shedding heat for birds, and other animals too, like panting dogs. So that's why the thrasher was so alert. We've got a nest here with 2 or 3 young birds being fed. Nice. Time to get some more food for the young ones, but let's try to mush it up in the dirt a bit first. Yummy. Okay, let's move on a bit. Remember guys, never disturb nesting birds.
You're not a cactus wren.
There's an orange-crowned warbler here, but we accidentally misidentified one earlier in the series, so although this is actually the first time we're seeing one, we already accidentally counted it in a previous Arizona episode, so the counter stays where it is for now. What can I say? I usually make at least one mistake per video, guys. A lifer McGilvery's warbler, but the views aren't great.
It's eye level.
Got it.
I'm going to have to freeze the footage here to show you and count it before it skulks around and vanishes again. What a pain in the butt this bird is. Too skunky.
Okay, we just got McGilvery's warbler. That was a tough one to find. Likes to skunk around. Reminds me of morning warbler back in the east, but we've come to recover in the shade for a little bit. It's starting to get very hot. We have a little bit longer to spend here before we have to hit the road to head further south. We got a couple of birds so far. We get a try for the hermit warbler, but I think that would take some luck. What else was there, Sarah?
Also a Sora, but again, they're pretty skulky, so with it being middle of the day or coming up to it and lots of people around, maybe a little too late to catch that one.
We've done pretty well though. We're kind of geographically about halfway through our trip, but we still have over a week to go. But in terms of covering ground, we've covered most of the north of Arizona that we were planning to cover, and we're doing pretty good for numbers. We wanted to break 100 if we could for the whole trip, and we're well on our way to that, heading south where the real treasure trove of birds could be found, so we're pretty happy with how it's going. Stay tuned, we're going to spend a bit longer here.
More better views of a delightful Townsend's warbler. This might just be my new favourite warbler, you know. Lemon yellow face and that dark black cheek mask. White, yellow and black streaking down the sides. It's a bird with sharp, crisp and clean contrast.
These verdin are so common, and yet you see a flash of yellow which they have on their face, and it gives you warbler vibes.
As noted at the beginning, the other water basins were mostly dried up, so maybe it's time for us to head back. Although on the way back out we did get nice close views of a sharp-looking, bold-patterned cactus wren. This bird tolerates the desert by collecting much of its moisture from food like juicy insects and fruit. It's a cactus cavity dweller. The temperature inside a saguaro cactus can be several degrees lower than the scorching air outside, so it's a pretty resilient bird then. And our last bird for this location, a short, stocky hunter with a serious stare. This green heron looks like it's licking its lips. Time to hit the road now and say goodbye to the northern half of Arizona and Phoenix. If you remember our itinerary from episode 1, our plan is to head into southern Arizona for the remainder of the trip via a quick stopover across the border into New Mexico. Starting from the next episode in Portal, as well as Dust Devils, we should be hitting an absolute jackpot of birds, and there's going to be much more dodgy roads than this one.
Well guys, after doing a lot of driving to get too close to Portal, we're actually staying in New Mexico because it's reasonable accommodation prices and availability there. We actually did a little bit of sneaky birding in New Mexico. Nothing to really show you. We saw a Eurasian collared dove and a bird you might not have heard of, the mighty house sparrow. We just did that to record it on eBird, so we had some New Mexico sightings. We have run out of time to otherwise do any birding in this video, so we have to wrap it up here, but stay tuned to the channel because we'll be in Portal in the next episode. For the time being, if you could please like this video and maybe leave us a comment, we'd really appreciate it. Also, Sarah,
If you haven't already, please subscribe, and after subscribing, select the bell for notifications of new videos.
thanks for watching guys, we'll be back soon. Happy birding, bye for now.
Bye.